Good morning students. Let's start with the introduction to SDLC. We have seen in the first session what is SDLC, what is meaning of software development life cycle and so on. So I am Dr. Alifia Jagidar, Assistant Professor of Abid and Amdas Senior College. If you like my videos, do press the like button and subscribe to the channel. Let's go ahead. In this session, we are going to cover what is called as waterfall model. Now in SDLC models, there are different models which was invented as and when the versions are coming into the market. The first, or you can say it was waterfall model, then spiral came, rapid prototype, incremental, object-oriented, build and fix, and many models are still coming into the market. But the first model is waterfall model. Waterfall approach was the first process model to be introduced, and it was widely accepted by software engineering to ensure success of the project. In the waterfall approach, the whole process of software development is divided into different phases or process. The processes are: first, requirement specification phase, software design phase, implementation phase, testing and maintenance. All these phases are cascaded to each other, so that second phase is started as when defined set of goals are achieved for the first and it is signed off. So as the waterfall model says that the whole process is divided into different phases. So if one phase does not complete and give me satisfactory result, the second phase will never start. So if you have seen waterfall, the water flows from top to bottom. Similarly here, we say that if requirement specification phase is not completed, your software design phase will not start. That means cascaded to each other. Once your first phase completes, then you go to the second phase. All the methods and processes are undertaken in waterfall model are more visible. You can clearly understand that okay, software specification phase is having some problem. That is the reason software design phase is lagging behind. Similarly for other phases. So in waterfall model, your input of one phase and output of that particular phase becomes input to another phase. That is also called as waterfall model. We'll be seeing ahead. This is the pictorial diagram of waterfall model. If you see, this is where it is divided into different phases. So these are phase, and you see how the data flows from one phase to another phase. This is called as waterfall. The water is falling in terms of generic term. The water falls from here. But in terms of your software engineering, the output of this particular phase becomes input to this phase. Means once your requirement analysis is accurately done, the design becomes more easy. Similarly for implementation, testing and delivery and installation. So these are the phases of waterfall model, and this is called as waterfall model diagram. So let's see history of waterfall. Okay. Now the waterfall development model, it originated in manufacturing and construction industries. Okay, basically in 1970, Royce proposed what is now popularly known as waterfall model as an initial concept, a model which he argued was flawed. Okay, in Roy's original waterfall model, the following phases were: requirement specification, design, construction, you can say implementation or coding, integration, testing and debugging. You can also name it as validation, installation and maintenance. This all steps we have seen into our SDLC. So in original form, Royce said that there are 7 stages into your waterfall model. Okay, 7 phases. Now how does it work? Where the project moves forward in linear fashion. So it is called as linear model as well. Just as you would paddle down the stream. So you move on in the stream from top to bottom, then bottom to, and so on to reach to the line. A preceding phase must be complete before the next start. As I told you all, that first phase have to be completed and then the next stage starts. And once you go over a waterfall, you can't go back. You cannot go back to the initial stage and say that okay, let me correct the problems or errors and then go ahead. No, there is no reverse back. It has to just move ahead. This is the earliest method of structured system development. Okay, it was at the earliest stage where they use for structured system development. System conceptualization It refers to the consideration of all aspects which are targeted to business functions or process with the goals of determining how each aspect should relate with one another and which aspects to be included into the system. This is first thing, conceptualization. When you just think that okay, I want to develop a system for my company, so you're conceptualizing, you're understanding what is the goal of your company, what is the target of your business function. Second, you're going to analyze. Once you have conceptualized, you are sure with your system, you go ahead with analyzing. Now what is analyzing? This is the second phase where you are gathering the requirement of your system. When you say I want to create a system as Tally, or I want to create, rather take an example of library management system, like where I say that I am going to define a library management system, that means I am going to gather the system requirements. I will understand what are the requirements of a library which I have to computerize so that their human task is reduced. So first thing, I conceptualized, okay, I'm going to do a library management system. Second, I'm going to gather the system requirements. I'm going to, with the goal of determining how these requirements can be accommodated in my system. Extensive communication between the customer and the developer is essential, because if they do not communicate with each other, they will not understand the requirement of your system. If this phase fails, that means your system is going to be not complete, or it will not satisfy the needs of the customer. Okay, so understanding the requirement is very important. Now next step is, once you have understood the requirements, you are sure about it, the same input is given to the design team. Now it is the work of the design team. They will see the requirements which are collected and analyzed. Now they will identify in the detail how the system has to be constructed so that it achieves the required goal. More specifically, the design phase is focused on the data requirement. Now what data to be entered and what data should be shown, that is where system design actually works. Then comes coding. This is also known as the phase of the programmers who actually are involved in creation of your system software. So they are going to identify the requirement and system specification from the system design, and these are converted into machine readable computer code. The design can be on the paper, it can be in your software, but coding will make it actually look like it is in real world working. So coding, the programmers do the task. Now the coding is done and it gives to the testing team. The output is given to the testing team. Now the testing, as the software is created and added to the developing system, testing is performed so that it ensures that it works correctly and efficiently. That is one of the most important motto of any software industry, that it should work correctly and efficiently, and it should give you quality. Okay, so here is that testing phase. Now so we have completed till the testing phase. Now what are the waterfall model deliverables? First, project plan and feasibility report. They're going to deliver. Deliverables means what I'm going to get from them. Requirement document, that is also called as software requirement specifications. What are the requirement specifications of my software? System design documents, detailed design documents, then test plan, test reports, source code, software manuals, and review reports. These are the deliverables by waterfall model. When to use waterfall model? Whenever we understand any of the model, we should also know when to use and when not. First thing, when you know your requirements very well, at that time we can use for waterfall model. When we know that product definition is stable. Third, we understand what technology we are going to use. Fourth, new version of the existing product is there. You are going to create a new version. Fifth is porting an existing product to the new platform. When you know that you're going to port the existing product to the new platform. For example, your old product is in Visual Basic and now you're going to change it to Java. So what are you doing? You're shifting your platform. At that time you can use waterfall model. Okay, what are the advantages? First of all, the waterfall model helps to find problems earlier on which can cost a business less than if it found later on. Okay, what happens here, your phase next phase will not start until your first phase is complete. So you can identify the problems at very early stage, so that is going to reduce the cost. Okay, requirements will be set and this won't be changed because there is no backward direction, it just goes on moving ahead. As everything is documented, a new team member can easily understand what to be done because there is SRS document done, design document done. So everything is documented and acknowledged by the customer, and so that my new team member can understand easily. Implementers have to follow the design accurately because we have written in system design. If I want my text box to right hand side, it has to be at the right hand side only. Clear project objectives, stable project requirements. The requirements do not keep on dynamically changing. Okay, progress of system is measurable. Although the model is old fashioned, it means a reasonable approach when requirements are well understood. Though it is very old fashioned, but if you know your requirements very well, then waterfall model is for you all. It is a very simple model to implement. Now let's come to disadvantages. What is disadvantages? Many believe it's impossible to make one stage of the project life cycle perfect. Yes, it's very difficult because every time my requirements are going to change dynamically. So that is one of the disadvantages, because you cannot go back to the initial stage. Then difficult to estimate time and cost for each of the stage development process because we don't know how much time each phase is going to require. So it is very difficult to estimate the time and cost. Constant testing of the design is needed. At the beginning of most projects, there is often a great deal of uncertainty about the requirements because we are not so sure or 100% sure about our requirements and goals. It keeps on changing as and when time comes. It again goes back, changes again, then come back to your original requirements. Okay, so therefore it becomes very difficult for customer to identify this criteria on detail level. So the model does not accommodate natural uncertainty very well. It will not accommodate uncertainty. It says, okay, you have to be certain with your requirements and then go ahead. In recent years, its rigid design and inflexible procedures has come under attack due to its criticisms. Fall into the following categories. First, why it was criticized. First, time consuming. There is no backtracking. For example, if any error occurred on any stage of the software development, it can't be corrected in that build. And if error goes undetected, then till the final product is produced, it may be disastrous. So you cannot identify the end product and the errors. So thank you so much. I hope so you have understood today's session. If you have any queries, you can write down into the comments or you can visit the department for further queries. Thank you so much.